versus we put the V back in GVG.
Hi, welcome to Versus. My name is Wally, and joining me today to comment on their match with The Last Pride, we've got Drunk and Cry from There Is a Cow Level to comment on a game that took place during the latter season leading up to the Guild Wars Faction Championship to cap off Cow's exuberant climb of the ladder during this time. Also, a special welcome to Midge, who has just joined the Versus commentary staff. Hi, Drunk. Hi, Cry. Hi, Midge.
Hi,
Hello.
everybody.
Hello.
Good to have you on the show. So I know that this match took place a little bit ago, but I just wanted to sort of start off the commentary by getting your thoughts on what it was like to play against EvIL. I'm assuming this is the first time you've played against them?
With these group of
Um,
people for me.
yeah, I've played against EvIL several times in other seasons. Never really beating them or getting close to beating them
Neither have I.
Oh, and this video is, well, this particular match is, I guess, quite a change from that, given um, the sort of how the match goes.
Yeah, I think we knew we had a pretty good chance of at least staying alive versus EvIL this time. Um, I don't think anyone knew that we were going to pretty much control the game though.
Not at all.
It seems like they came out a little bit weaker than normal. We don't really know why.
So I guess before we get too far into the match, I guess I'd like to point out that at this point in the ladder, we were seeing more incidences of monk assassins in GVG builds. I guess a lot of guilds were play testing them once they've already qualified for the Factions Championship. And your build, I guess take us through the elements of your build. I see that you have what looks like is a smiter
That's right.
and two warrior Ellies. So I guess sort of describe what the kind of matchup is between what EvIL is playing and what you guys are playing, and how you think I guess the relative strengths and weaknesses of your build sort of play to that.
Well, EvIL's running two Surge Mesmers and Life Siphon, Faint Hardness, Necro with and a Warder with they have wards, so pressing their monks was only available to us when they're out of the ward. So like right now, you can see they have no wards down, so we gotta kill on Soul Wedding. But that's pretty much it. I think they're doing the same thing as us, just looking for an opportunity to push our monks and spike them down. Every time their warriors would overextend, we would shock them and have the monks pull up, go straight to their monks. And the only times we really got kills was when they didn't have wards up. They had their warrior running flags a lot of the game, so a lot of the pressure was off of us for a lot of the time.
So as you're playing monk for Cow, Drunk, I'd be interested in getting your thoughts as to the different play styles between a monk mesmer build and a monk assassin build.
When you're making with a monk mesmer, you have to be a lot more, or you don't have to be conservative at all. You need to watch your energy, but you can pretty much spam heals and keep everybody alive. As a monk assassin, though, you need to be a lot more conservative and manage your energy a lot more. It's a lot more difficult to keep your energy high, especially under a high pressure build.
I guess the challenge being that for a monk assassin, there actually aren't any way or skills on the bar to actually generate energy, and that most of its effectiveness has to come from efficient casting and use of skills.
basically. You just need to know not to overheal and know how much each heal is gonna do so that you don't spend gift of health, reversal, mend when you can just get away with a gift and maybe a reversal, which is what a lot of monks do with a monk assassin, because they're used to a monk mesmer.
Mhm. Well, I guess then we should, for the benefit of viewers who might not have a chance to look more closely at monk assassin builds, um, what's on the bar of a monk assassin?
They change from player to player, but generally Sigil Devotion, Gift of Health, Mend Ailment or Mend Condition, Reversal, Spirit Bond or Prot Spirit, um, Return, Dark Escape, and I believe that's 8.
They're usually Blessed Light. Um,
Oh,
most
Blessed Light, of course. I forgot about the skill.
yeah, I can't count to 8. Sort of off the cuff. Mitch, I know you play monk as well. Um, do you have any thoughts on uh, I guess the differences between them and their soul wedding goes down again in the video?
Yeah, I actually run a Monk Assassin a lot. It's a really amazing build to play. It's really hard to take down one Monk Assassin when you've got another Monk Messer, as we were discussing earlier. And the only problem you really run into is if you come against a high pressure build, you don't have, a mantra of recall or energy drain or something like that to keep your energy up. So you're depending highly on your weapon sets and your focus swaps and using Sigil Devotion to kind of rebuild it. Um, but it's an excellent build as far as kiting and maneuverability around the map. It also is great to try and save that one player that we all have that likes to overextend a little too far. But Monk Mesmers, I believe, are really a lot more solid as far as energy management, but they are easier to train on.
Like we said, you
See,
can tell by 1 star not getting killed at all this game. We just cannot kill him because of Dark Escape, and he recalls away right here.
Yeah, he's like a cockroach as a monk assassin. You just cannot get him.
No, it's really hard. He recalled to the foot, and yeah,
Which is
it's
kind of
really
incredible.
frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is incredible.
All right, so we've been talking about training monks or training um, sort of characters as a term, but what generally does that entail? I mean, obviously, it's not just two warriors converging on a target.
Typically we attack their midline and try to force their monks to pull up to heal. And as soon as we see um, as soon as we see an opportunity, when a monk's out of a ward or pushed up a little bit too far, we will gale the opposite monk and just unload adrenaline, put all damage on that monk. And basically, if we get a kill, we just start the gale blackout train on their monks with, our crypt shot and our mesmer blacking out opposite monks and our mesmer galing monks and our emo galing monks. And we usually try to get a few kills within 10-second span, and if we can, get off of the monks and go back to their midline. But I mean, that's about it. It's just the entire team doing whatever they can to get their monks down in the shortest amount of time possible. Because you have to go back to protecting your monks, or else they'll kill you fast.
All right, so when you're talking about, I guess, protecting your monks, and particularly as a warrior, what sort of things would that involve? I know you were mentioning pressuring their midline to keep them, I guess, away from your backline, but is there anything else? I mean, how effective is it for you to go around trying to knock down their warriors or shock them?
Typically the only time that I will go and knock down a warrior is if they're in our backline attacking our monks. When they push, I usually try to, get on the midline mesmers and shock them. and bull strike them and keep them away from our monks and just let the blackouts do the jobs on the warriors. I think blackouts a lot more effective than having a warrior train them. You're the opposite warriors. So that's about it. Shocking mid bull strike warriors when they come in too deep.
So Midge and I were actually talking earlier, discussing the possibility of setting up a commentary with you guys. That we were remarking that you guys had really come together as a team beautifully in this latter season from which this video comes, and uh, we've both been sort of wondering like what does it take to sort of cohere as a GVG group? What level of coordination? Um, I mean, how do you guys improve? And how do you guys work on that?
Practice is really the only thing that makes us improve. I think we spent a lot of time focusing on the same build this season and having people play the same classes. And like you said, coordination is a huge part of it. Targets need to be blacked out at the right time. Everyone's got to be on the same page when you're trying to push their monks, and everyone's got to understand what to do and how to get kills. And I think just experience, good leadership, having everybody on par with what everybody else is doing, communication. Um, yeah. Drunk, you have anything to say?
I think that since Cry and Siglet and Champ have all been in top guilds, and Cry and Siglet in particular are pretty much our leaders. Cry more so. They know what to do in most every situation. I think that's a big part of why we're so successful.
All right, and so when we're talking about practice, obviously it doesn't mean just, hitting the arrange guild battle button over and over again and just sort of, going in and trying to beat things down. Like, what does that involve? Like, how do you sort of analyze how games went? Do you talk about that during, right after the match or after a day of playing, or do you guys sort of set goals as to what you want to do, like, or what you want to focus on or improve on, like, in each game? What is the method of your practice, I guess?
When we lose games, we look at the game and go over what went wrong and how we could have and should have prevented it. A lot of the practice, like you were saying earlier, is just us having better timing with our coordination. The better coordination you have, the easier it is to kill targets. And I mean, that's pretty much it. We spent the season practicing with our Mesmer and our Ranger, getting the pushes down with our warriors so we could, kill things properly and quickly. Um, yeah,
So I was, yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I'm just gonna say that's pretty much what our practice was just pushing monk more or less and making sure we're defending at the right time.
So as we were discussing before starting this commentary, Cow actually has a really interesting guild history in terms of its entry into GVG. Could you talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah, we started out as a Tombs guild, and we had pugged a few times and got into the top 50, and after that we just started guesting a higher level of players from who were previously playing with us, and as of the player group we got better. The mistakes went down a lot more, and we started to win games against good teams, and that's pretty much it. Better players usually helps quite a bit. You can add to that, Drunk, if you'd like.
Basically, we would always lose because of one in particular person earlier in the season, and then just kept replacing till we got a core 8 that worked well
We really had
against good
trouble with some
teams.
people not following directions, flag runners running in when we tell them not to, things like that, and just ended up
And making
replacing
stupid
them.
decisions.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's all a little crazy.
Now, what would you guys say? I know a lot of people wonder as well. um, the condition in your vent channel when you guys are going in. Like, how do you set the mood, and what is it like when you're playing and you're calling your strats and you've got, people everywhere on the map all kind of working together? Is it kind of like a mellow setting, or is it really high energy? Maybe, maybe kind of explain how the condition of your event is as opposed to other guilds.
In between matches, when we're waiting for a match, I normally always like tell jokes, and I think that's makes it a lot more calm and a lot more mellowed out. Nobody like rages at anybody really anymore. And in between a match, we'll just tell stories and stuff, and it makes it more fun.
Yeah, during
It
the
sounded
match,
like
it's
we
actually
wanted to. Oh, go
pretty high
ahead. It just
pace.
sounded.
Oh, I was just gonna say, during the match event, usually we have a lot of people talking, a lot of things going on at once, and it's usually pretty fast-paced event. Sometimes we have trouble because so many people are talking at once, but it's generally pretty mellow. Except when we lose, things aren't so great.
Yeah, that's certainly
And yeah,
understandable.
so I'm looking here, the time marker is like around 1850. It's actually going in 19 minutes now. And I noticed that your monks are starting to get kind of pressured in your back line, and they're starting to pile on the hexes here. Did you find that this was kind of a hard part into the match where, you found that you were getting kind of spread out a little, and the pressure was really kind of coming from EvIL, as they usually put it?
It looks like we didn't defend properly and let their warriors get to our monks before we got to them that time, and so they landed a few kills. I don't think it was too bad. You can usually tell if you're gonna collapse. We still had res sigs at this point, and yeah, I don't think we were too afraid here. Um, I think at this point we're pretty far ahead in morale and feel like we have this game um, in control. So I wasn't too worried at that point, I don't think. Looks like their monk is almost DP'd out here. We've landed like 5 kills on Soul Wedding now.
So I've noticed that as you guys are running around, I noticed that you and Siglet are pretty much almost on point on the same target when you need to take it down, and then you seem almost to split simultaneously onto a different target. Is that something that's just built over time by playing with each other, or is that something that's kind of coordinated, as the match progresses?
Yeah, when we go for a monk, we'll typically gale one monk and put all damage on the opposite monk, and then as soon as the other monk reses, we'll split a warrior on each monk and just start throwing damage around. And that's pretty much how we do monk pushes. Is we just get one down and have the opposite warriors go on the monk that reses. And so yeah, I mean there's coordination involved. We're always calling what targets we're gonna be on and what I'm gonna be on this monk when it reses, etc., things like that.
So I'm actually watching your number two, your Hammer Warrior using Earthshaker in this match. Um, that's certainly an elite that doesn't see very much GVG play. Could you sort of elaborate on why that was chosen or how effective you found it?
Um, I think we were running it specifically because of the 4 thumper builds and the warrior heavy builds. So if they were training our monks or something, you can knock down 4 thumpers at once for
Mm.
2 seconds. Let our monks escape. I don't really. It's all that practical for anything besides that. Siglet wanted to run it, and I just told him to go ahead. I don't think there was any huge decision on that.
So now that EvIL is starting to crumple under your attacks, I guess now is sort of a like what's going through your head. Did you think you'd actually be in control of the situation and actually winning at this point? And conversely, what were you most apprehensive about going in, knowing since they're such a well-respected, I'd say almost legendary guild? to be playing against, particularly from the perspective of a warrior and strat caller, and from the perspective of a monk.
I
Well,
was pretty confident that we were gonna win, and I was pretty excited that we were gonna win. You know, beating obviously the one of or the best team in Guild Wars got me pretty pumped up. And then yeah, that's about all.
Yeah, I think we knew they were gonna split here, and we were just waiting for morale to push into their base. But they split before we got morale, so we pretty much spend the remainder of the game dealing with their splits instead of actually making any progress on their NPCs or anything like that.
I do notice here at this mark that there's a lot of hexes on your team, and Siglet's dropped down, and the pressure's kind of heavy on your runner here. For the monks, really, particular, did you find it kind of hard to maintain keeping those hexes off of everyone, especially when you've got their mesmers pressuring you with their surge and the blackout?
Honestly, I found it a lot easier to monk against them than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be the hardest match I've ever played as a monk, but I don't think it was. We were removing the hexes that needed to be removed, like faint hardness, most of the time, and those are really like the only important ones. Um, that's the only thing that's gonna keep our warriors from doing their job. Basically, everything else is just a cover. So the pressure wasn't on too hard, I don't believe.
Because it looks like you guys do recover rather quickly from that.
Yeah, most of the
yeah, and
hexes that were being pulled around when we were all hexed up was just parasitic and random useless hexes such as that.
Yeah, I think they were throwing Life Siphon around a lot, which isn't too bad degen, and then, like we said, Faint Hardness is the only thing that we actually call to be removed. Um, Life Siphon isn't that big of a deal when everyone has Heal Sig and Troll, and we have heal parties and whatnot. We were actually surprised that they didn't push a lot harder, a lot more often with their Mesmers and their Warriors. Um, they were actually, like I said, they were running flags with their Warrior quite a bit, so they were down a lot of pressure.
Because it does seem that they are kind of split, and you guys did cat out one of their mesmers here.
Yeah, I don't even know what we're doing right now. I don't know why we're not dealing with that split.
yeah,
I
and
think
just
we just wanted to push in, but they kept splitting and forcing us to deal with it over and over again.
and there, I guess several splits prior, there was kind of a fantastic push to repair your catapult by Bloodlight, who nearly didn't make it.
I think
Yeah,
that was
that
the most. That's the thing we were focused on mostly was we were worried about them knowing that it's most likely going to be OD. We didn't want them to get our catapult.
once again they're just splitting here. Um, I think they know that it's pretty much a lost cause for them, but they're just trying to stall till VOD and hopefully come out with better VOD tactics, which they do, unfortunately. But yeah, they do a pretty good job of stalling us and making us chase around their teams till VOD.
So at this point, given that we know what's going to happen, do you see the signs of what? Um, I guess were you aware of what they were attempting to orchestrate at this point when you were playing? And does that seem, I guess, do the signs seem there now that you're looking at this in retrospect?
Oh yeah, we definitely knew they were going to try to gank our guild lord and get on the catapult to stop us from going back. Um, it's pretty common, straightforward tactic every guild pretty much tries to use nowadays. Um, miscommunication really threw us off towards the end of the game where we thought it's coming up here in a few minutes, but we thought one team was dealing it and they thought we had already sent people back. Um, I don't know. Splitting gets a lot more frustrating. I'm actually playing 8v8 because you're constantly trying to adapt to what they are sending, and they're mixing things up and changing their split over and over again. They aren't too. They're at this point they're so DP'd that they can't really split effectively, and they're just trying to cat our runner at this point to try to get morale. But I think both their split teams collapse here.
So when you do go into a splitting mode, what then needs to change with your communication?
Both teams just need to be saying if they need help or if they need more, or if they need a different character than what we had originally sent back. Um, I don't know. It's pretty much just that we just need to know if they're sending another person back, or if you know, and they need to know if another person's coming towards them. Things like that. To me, I mean, communication is just key. You got to say what's going on still, so we can deal with it properly. This is depressing watching this match, watching the end.
Yeah, it's really quite something.
Yeah, it is.
Mm. I think all of us thought we were gonna win. We were all excited, and then just to
Do you feel
see
that
the
that led
outcome of
to
the match.
making mistakes?
Um, I
Maybe.
think it might have led to the end mistake, the biggest one.
I mean, we knew what they were doing. Just no one dealt with it at all. The entire team knew they had two warriors going into our base. Um, it's gonna show it here in a few minutes. But yeah, just nobody dealt with the split. So right here is where Last Monster and Bloodlight just go straight past Champ there and Hope, who are firing the cat on their NPCs. And CI was under the impression that they were going to follow them into our base and just kill them. And I guess they were under the impression we were going to send a monk back. Neither of which happened. This is while EvIL's team pushes up on us here to try to cat us from stopping us from going back into our base and saving our guild lord. There's them going into the back of our base now.
So it appears that
Yep,
Soul Wedding's
absolutely.
actually DP'd out here.
Yeah,
He's
Soul
been
Wedding's
DP'd
actually
for a
been
while.
DP'd like the 20-minute mark. They've been hard resing.
Oh, so here, Sig is going into the courtyard, and
Yeah, this
oh
is where
man,
we
If you
send people
watch
back.
7, he forgets to prod spirit himself. We probably could have possibly saved him, our guild lord, but
and that yeah, and
Yeah,
then
it's
the
really
game is
hard.
just over so soon.
GG.
Good games, guys. Well, okay, well, I mean, it's really kind of a stunning match, and it's heartbreaking to see such a, I guess, mistake kind of cost you a game. It's so well played. But congratulations to you, and thanks for coming onto the show and commentating. Both Midge and I really appreciate it. Do you have any last, I guess, parting suggestions to players who are just wanting to become more competitive at GVG?
Find good people to play with and coordinate your kills, I guess. That's about it.
pick one class and stay with it. Don't play 7 different classes or 6 different classes.
good advice too.
Yeah, sounds good to me. Well, thanks everybody. Until next time, we'll be seeing ya.
All right,
Thanks
thank
for
you.
having us.
All right, kids.